Yeah. Oh, I don't have the extension cord. Good evening, everyone. We are going to be answering some questions live here in a little bit. I want to at least get some light for y'all here. All right, let's see. Baby girl going to help me with some light. So for now, I'm going to just use this light. All right, beautiful people. So tonight we will be continuing with our series here. We're going to be talking about just some more questions that I have here for real estate. So if you have any questions, whether it is about purchasing, refinancing, whether that's a primary property or an investment property, definitely reach out to me and we could be able to answer that question. So tonight, to finish up the series, I do have a few questions here. Um, if you are watching this hashtag replay, put your question in the chat box so I can be able to see it. And I will stop to be able to answer your questions. All right. So we have a few here, some things here. So let's go ahead and get started. I need an extension cord. Okay. All right. So, first question of tonight is, when can I buy a home? All right. So, when can you buy a home? Well, you can buy a home anytime, but that's not the answer you want to hear, right? So, whenever you are looking to buy a home, you want to be able to look at certain things before you buy a home to let you know that you are ready. Number one, you want to look at your credit score. Yes, even though you pull that credit score, it from experience, it may look a little different than what you see on Credit Karma or any other. Oops, I done turned off my flashlight. It may look a little different whenever you are looking at your credit score. But the first thing you want to do is check your credit score. As I told you before, you can go and get a loan, a home loan, primary, okay? Not for investors. This is primary. You can get a loan with FHA for as low as a 580 credit score, okay? So don't feel like your credit score is what's holding you back. It's not. Number two, what you want to look at is your finances. One of the biggest things that we look at as a lender, loan officer, is we're going to see how much debt you have versus income. So let's say, for instance, you have $5,000 coming in per month gross, and your debt, this means credit cards, car loan, personal loans, anything that shows up on your credit report as a debt. All right. This allow, and let's say you had 2,500. Well, we will look at that. If you have 5,000 coming in and $2,500 in debt, then you're looking about 50% ratio. So at the end of the day, that's very risky for a lender because it's showing that you are strapped for cash, right? It's not showing that most of your income is going to provide you for this house. And so that's one of the things about being house poor is you want to make sure that debt to income ratio is less than 50%. There are programs that will go less. Can you just plug it right here? Where'd Bree go? That will go less than that will go up to a 50% debt to income ratio, but you want to be 50% or lower. Okay. When can you also buy a home? You also want to look at what area you're looking to get into. Have you worked at your job for 2 years or at least been in the industry for 2 years? And these are some of the things that you want to look at when you're looking to purchase a home. Now, if you think about this from an investor standpoint, you want to be more looking more so at what is going to bring me in terms of profitability and or cash flow. As an investor, you want to be able to invest in areas that's going to allow for you to really maximize your dollars, because later on you may want to refinance that property and you want to make sure that you have enough equity in your home, right? And in order to have enough equity, it's going to be dependent on where you are in that area, and is the homes in that area really appreciating in value? So, one of the key things I always say when you're looking to buy in real estate, location, location, location. Why? because it matters when you are being strategic, not only about where you live, but being strategic about the real estate that you purchase. Because remember, we've been talking about building $1 million portfolio, right? And keeping it simple. Babe, I'm live. So in order for you to really be able to build that portfolio, you want to select properties that are in very good locations, or where they are, or excuse me, get tongue tied, or where infrastructure is being built. All right. So I'm not going to go any more into that. Usually, as I say, you want to look at your credit score. How much money do you have now, or be able to get gifted to you? And then also location wise, are you really ready income wise? These are things that you want to look at when you are looking to buy. If you are not ready to buy now, then set up the game plan so you are ready to buy. That's one of the biggest things. A lot of us may not prepare to actually buy a house, but we might hop up one day and say, I'm getting tired of paying rent. I want to buy a house. But just make sure you're in a position to do that before, because if you know 2-3 years down the road you're going to be looking to buy a house, set yourself up so when it does come that time, you are ready. All right, let's see. Next question. What kind of house should, ooh, let me see. Okay, what kind of house should a single person buy? All right, for all my single people out there, this is a question for you. What kind of house should you buy if you are single? This is what I would say. Two-part answer. Number one, buy a house that you can afford, right? By yourself, or you can house hack and have individuals rent out the rooms, or buy a multifamily and stay in one of those units. The reason why I say you want to either house hack as a single person, because if you buy a house and let's say you house hack it, you can afford the payment by yourself, but you want a house hack, it's going to allow for you to be able to save as a single person. Because, honey, you ain't got to worry about the expense of children, okay, which can become a big expense. So just think about it. If you're able to save more because you're house hacking or have a multifamily unit, now you're able to save more, and you can put a little extra towards your mortgage to pay it down. And so when you are, if you want to start a family, then you either already have the house or you have at least an income coming from that house that can allow for you to buy something bigger, or be able to, transition at home to have it as a family home. All right. Can a mortgage be paid with a credit card? No. Yes and no. There was a lender, I'm not going to say who it was. They were at one time accepting credit cards as a payment. But what happens was that with that is, they say you are borrowing from Peter in order to pay Paul. That's essentially what you're doing if you're using a credit card to pay for your mortgage. Well, you don't want to pay debt with debt, because all you're doing is just recycling the money from one place to the other. So, rule of thumb, sorry, y'all, I got cut off. Rule of thumb is you don't want to use a credit card, and most likely, no, they're not allowing you to use a debt in order to pay a debt. Okay, that's the whole purpose of on the application. They ask you, what is your income, right? Where are you making money from? Because they don't want you to use debt to pay debt. Now you're over leveraging yourself, which can come back and bite you in the end. Okay, what mortgage can I afford with my salary? Well, beautiful, I don't know your salary. But rule of thumb, as I said before, you want to take your income, your gross income, right? You can type in mortgage income calculator and find out your income, or you can just go to a simple app that shows you income, right? An income calculator. But this is where I talk about the mortgage trap, because even though they say you qualify for a certain amount, is based off of your gross, not your net. So even though you might gross 5,000, you may net, which means you're bringing home 4,000 or 4,200, now you got to consider, yes, I can afford it off of my gross income, but can I really afford it off what I'm bringing home? So use that as a rule of thumb is, can I afford to pay for this mortgage? So if you type in simply a mortgage calculator, include the taxes and insurance, I think for like a $300,000 house, payment may be like $2,800 a month, 28 to somewhere depending on about um $3,000 a month, just on the high end. Let's just say with these 7-8% interest rates. I ain't saying 8%, 7% interest rates. So you want to just rule of thumb is, okay, if this is what my mortgage is going to be, and you got to be realistic. The highest, let's just say worst case, you get a 6.875 or a 7%. Look and see what it will cost right now for you to be able to have that type of mortgage with the taxes and insurance added in. Now you want to say, okay, with that, this is how much salary I have, this is how much debt I have per month, and you can do this calculation yourself, um, so that you can make sure that you are able to really pay for that mortgage. Like I said, we base it off, this is something I didn't make up, the lenders didn't make it up, but when they calculate your income, they add the taxes and social security, all of that back in, which allows for you to afford a bigger house technically, but your net is what you actually bring home, and that's, my friend, you should base your affordability off of, not your gross. Okay. All right, what mortgage can I afford on a $50,000 salary? Okay, what's the next question? So on a, and 50,000 is about average. So let's pull up a mortgage calculator. How about it? Right? How about it? Let's do a mortgage calculator here. I'm gonna just go to my website and we're gonna pull it up here and we're gonna use the $50,000 as our example. Okay, so first I'm going to do a tax calculator here, because you may not be bringing 50,000 home, right? So if you're not bringing home 50,000, so 50,000 after tax. All right. So, but remember, your mortgage is based off the 50,000, which is your gross. So it says here that even if you make 50,000, your net pay is about 40,000, which is $3,300 a month. Right? So if you, I'm not even sharing, my apologies. Let me share with y'all my screen here. Let me see. Share screen. I'm gonna go here. All right. So it says if you make 50,000 a year living in the region of North Carolina, right? You'll be taxed about a little over 9,000, almost $10,000, right? So your net pay is about $10,000 less. So of course, coming in, we're looking at the 50,000 versus the 40, but for you, you want to look at the 40, right? Make sure you can afford it. So when it comes to that, let me see here. So let me go to my calculator here. You guys can be able to go on it too. I'm going to put the link here for y'all. And if you want to be able to punch in your own calculator, you can. Boom, there you go. I'm going to show it to you as well. It is in the chat for you. You can be able to use this. If you go down, you'll see calculators. Let me share this tab with you. All right, this is my page. You'll see me on here. Hit calculators here. All right. So different calculators here for you to be able to utilize. So I'd highly suggest that you utilize it. Okay. All right. So we're going to go to how much home can I afford? That's one of them that you can go to. Right. So you can punch in what is your combined income. So this actually shows you what I just talked to you about. So let's say you have an auto home loan, about $700. Student loans are costing you about what is that, about $400 a month. That's somebody with some, okay, that's about what my payment be. Let's say your credit card is about 250. Other debts, let's say you pay about 250 for that, right? Installment loans, we'll say 250 for that. Okay. I know I'm kind of lowballing it, but we're gonna do this. 6.5 interest rate, 30. Right. So it's breaking it down to you what your monthly taxes is and your monthly total, right? So they're saying for a $422,000 house, this is how much they're saying you can afford. But look at this back ratio, 125, I mean 127%. So that shows you, like, even though you're making 5,000, a $422,000 payment is going to have you at $3,000 a month. We don't want that, right? We want to be at a cost that's going to allow us to be 40% or lower. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the mortgage calculator. So all you have to do, pick your loan type. As I said, FHA, you can go as low as 580, conventional 620, jumbo 640, 660, USDA 640, VA 580. Some places 500. So you can see here 350,000. 3% down is about 10,500. USDA, you don't have to put anything down. And then the interest rate, as we said, worst case, we're going to do 7% worst case. So your payment is about $3,000 a month, right? This is off $350,000. So you're going to say, okay, for $350,000, it's about $3,000 payment, right? That's what we found, about 3,000. So we're going to say 3,000. We're just going to even it out. And we're going to times that by 40%, right? Because we want to be in the clear. Right? So 3,000, oops, I said divided by, not times. $7,550 coming in your household. This is gross. This will allow for you to qualify for this. But if you want to be 40% of your own money, not gross, this is net. You want to make sure you bring home about $7,500 to $8,000. I know that might freak you out right about now, but remember, this is based off 7%. Real quick, we're just doing the numbers. If your household is bringing home $7,500, let's say one spouse is bringing home 4,000, the other spouse is bringing home 3,500 or 4,000, you're there. Okay, we just saw $40,000 a month divided by 12, right? That's $3,333. That's net. But off of your income, 50,000, you see that's $4,000. So you can qualify for a $350,000 house, right? And we did worst case 7%. Worst case 7%. If you are a whole household, or if you make that on your own, you can be able to get a $350,000 mortgage. So as 50,000, you can get about, depending on your debt. Okay. So that's, to me, when you look at the number in that way, you can be able to really hone in on, okay, let me be smart about this, because I'm not looking to be in this house, but start looking from it from an investor standpoint, because your primary is not an asset, it's a liability, right? Because it takes money out your pocket. Liabilities, you're paying for it, right? But when it's an asset, it puts money in your pocket. So we want to create more positive flow, which is those assets that's going to allow for you to grow over time. That's why appreciation and cash flow is really going to benefit you, because it's going to allow for you, number one, to have more income. Number two, it's going to allow for you to be able to get what you want. Okay. All right. All right. Next question. I know that was full. Which mortgage loan originators are required to be licensed? If you work for a brokerage, or if you want to work for yourself, you have to be licensed. The only people that don't have to be licensed as a mortgage loan originator, this is by law, is someone that works for a bank. But you have to be licensed as an originator to be considered a loan officer, to negotiate deals, to be able to do what you need to do, you got to be licensed. All right, which mortgage lenders use Experian? All of them. They use all of them, and they also use TransUnion and Equifax. All of them. And here's the thing: we don't use the highest score. We don't use the lowest score. We use the mid score. So even if you say, "Hey, I know I'm this high," when we pull it, different lenders use different scales, but for the most part, yeah, we use that mid score. They're not going to use your highest score. They're going to use that mid score. Okay, when do mortgage payments start? So mortgage payments can start either a month or 2 months after you have closed on your property, whether that's a purchase or refinance. It can start that next month on the first or 2 months later on the first. All right. Last question of tonight. Let's see. Ooh, which mortgage rate should I choose? If y'all got any questions, put them in the chat. This is the last question I do have for tonight. So if you do have a question, like I said, put it in the chat. Which mortgage rate should I choose? All right, y'all. So here's the thing about the mortgage rate. Okay. Let me stop sharing. So when it comes to mortgage rates, you can buy pretty much almost any rate that you want. And when I say buy it, I'm talking about what is called a buy down, or you can buy down your rate for a certain number of years, or you can be able to pay for a rate. So what I mean by that is that some lenders, depending on, certain lenders, there's what is called overlays. And these overlays, depending on certain factors of your credit or income or where your house is located, certain things is going to cause your rate, right? What it costs to be higher or lower. So for instance, um, uh, a lender that may go down less than 500, well, they're going to charge you more because you have a lower credit score, right? So it may cost you more in order to get a certain rate. If you have a great score, then you're going to see where the price is going to be less for you, right? So what I mean by that is that one person that might be getting a 5%, right? Let's say you want a 5% credit score, and it was $0. It cost you nothing to get a 5% credit score at that time. Well, now, let's say you want a 5% credit score, you may have to pay 1% of that, whatever the thousand is. So you might have to pay $3,000 in order to get that 5%. Everyday rates change. So it comes down to, am I looking to buy down my rate, purchase or refinance at the rate it is now, and then refi out of that rate later on? Or am I willing to buy down the rate for a certain number of years, and then maybe I'll refinance or keep the same program? So really the interest rate is going to be dependent on you. If you're looking to pay a little more to get a certain rate so your payment can be where you want it to be, then you can be able to do that. Or you can be able to get the current rate that's, in the marketplace, and then refinance 6 to 12 months later or more. You can so that's what I would say in terms of what rate should I choose. It's going to be dependent on your budget, but also what monthly payment are you looking to be at, and if you're purchasing or refinancing. So all of that plays into, should I get a lower rate? Should I get more of a rate? What does that look like for me? All right. All right, you guys. So since there are no more questions for tonight, make sure you use this link that's here so that you can be able to use the calculators, see how you can pay down your mortgage, see if you're making a good choice in terms of how much house can I afford. And if you got any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me via DM or here in the chat. And I look forward to seeing y'all again. If there's no more questions, we're going to go ahead and close it for tonight. We're going to have a short night tonight. And I look forward to next week, you guys. If you got any ideas, if you want to learn anything in terms of real estate investing, purchasing, or refinancing, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. I'd love to be able to answer your questions. And for tonight, I enjoyed y'all. I love you. And make sure you slay every day with style. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.